Gen 1 Pokemon are kind of weird if you think about it. On one hand, they've got some of the most iconic and powerful Pokemon like Dragonite and Gengar, who, by the way, are absolute monsters even today. But on the other hand, their move pools can feel really limited, and a lot of them just don't have the coverage you expect compared to newer generations. So that got me thinking, if Gen 1 is this mix of insanely strong but also kinda outdated Pokemon, could I actually beat Pokemon Red Bronze Frontier using only Gen 1 Pokemon? And trust me, this challenge got way harder than I expected. I wake up, check my alarm clock, fill in my trainer cart, and head downstairs. We meet our rival Jake, who tells us to meet our parents at the dig site before we head over to the professor's lab to pick our starter Pokemon. Now normally, this is where you actually have to think pretty hard, because Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander are all solid. But for this run, my choice was pretty simple. I went with Charmander. And yeah, I know, Squirtle is probably the safest option, and Bulbasaur is the most balanced overall, but Charmander eventually evolves into Charizard, which gives me the Fire and Flying type. And that's huge for this challenge. Fire helps a ton against Bug, Grass, and Steel types, which show up later in Elite 4. And Flying gives me coverage against fighting types like Annihilate. Plus, I already know I could cover Water and Grass later on my team. But there really isn't another Gen 1 Pokemon that fits Charizard's role as well as it does. So yeah, Charmander wasn't the safest pick, but it was definitely the smartest one for the long run. Jake then challenges us to a battle, which we easily win. After beating all the trainers on Route 1, I proceed to the next area before being stopped by Jake over some terrible news. After learning some traumatizing news about our parents, the show must go on. We meet this lady, who invites us to her place. She's definitely not gonna steal my necklace, right? We find Linda and beat her in a battle before moving on to Route 3, where we catch an Abra before making our way to Sylvan City. Once we reach Sylvan City, I make a quick detour to this old man's house, and he gives me an Eevee. After a bit of grinding, Charmander evolved into Charmeleon, giving me a much needed boost before facing Chad, the electric type gym leader. This gym was incredibly easy, and all Charmeleon had to do was spam Dragon Breath, giving us our first gym badge. On our way to Brimber City, Abra evolved, and I traded with my ult to get Alakazam. Just as we're about to enter Brimber City, Jake challenges us to another battle. This should be easy. After sweeping through Jake's team, we're now able to enter Brimber City to prepare for the second gym. Upon entering, we meet up with Jake and the gym leader Sebastian, who goes on to explain that we cannot battle him as Team Eclipse has stolen the red orb from them to summon Groudon and Mount Igneous. Of course, we're sent to go and stop them. Upon confronting them, Eclipse and Harry challenges us to a fight, which we win, but they go on and summon Groudon anyway. After Team Eclipse gets scared off, Sebastian comes to collect the orb, and we're now able to go challenge him at the gym. Sebastian was harder than Chad, but we managed to get through his team and get ourselves a second gym badge. We go to Route 7, beat up some lumberjacks, and head towards Laguna Lake, where we get a Thunderstone from UMV diving to evolve our Eevee into a Jolteon. We move on to Route 9, where we meet Jake, who joins us for double battles. On our way, Charmeleon evolved into Charizard before entering Rose Cove City. Arriving in Rose Cove City, we once again have to stop Team Eclipse before we can challenge the gym. But before that, we headbutt this tree to get Execute. And since I also got a Leaf Stone from UMV diving, I immediately evolved it into an Executor. After defeating all the Team Eclipse grunts and Eclipse admin Gabe, we go on to summon Groudon anyway, in hopes of being able to catch it. But just like Team Rocket, Team Eclipse gets blasted off once again. Now we can challenge Gym Leader Quentin. I forgot to record this part, but we did manage to beat him. We meet up with Jake and Tess on Route 9, and they both challenge us to a 1v1, but they kinda suck. Going into Route 10, we encounter Absol, who tries sucking up to us, but Jake and Tess scare it off. Jake explains that Absol is known as a disaster Pokemon, so something bad is likely gonna happen. In Kagurno's minds, we catch ourselves a Geodude which we evolve into Graveler and Golem, before meeting up with Jake and Tess at Kagurno's Peak before moving on to Antien City. Once we reach Antien City, we go to the Pokeball Emporium, where we sit through a boring dialogue session. After collecting all of Steven's tools, we can now challenge him to a battle. And I'ma just say, Jolteon carried this battle, spamming Thunderbolt left and right. So we sent out Skarmory, which I switched into Charizard for, and took it out. We're now halfway done with this challenge, but the battles only get harder from here. We're not done with Antien City though, as Team Eclipse has shown up once more. We learned that Jake went over there to try and stop them, but was taken hostage. So now it's up to us to try and save him. Together with Tess, we head into the Antien sewers, do some double battles, and make it to the end of the sewers and into the Park District. We make it to Jake, realize that Professor Cypress is the leader of Team Eclipse, and he challenges us to a battle. But before that, Absol joins us, but I'm only allowed to use Gen 1 Pokemon, and Absol sucks anyways. This battle was no problem. Charizard and Jolteon carried this match. After defeating him, Daria and Palka show up, and we go back in time to stop Eclipse admin Tyler from blowing up the place. He's a bomb guy, what do you expect? We get sent back to the president, and now we head on Route 11 and make our way to Iridia City. Going into Iridia City, we have to pivot to Iridia as Team Eclipse has once again stolen something from Gym Leader Ryan. After defeating them, we can now take on the gym. There really isn't anything to say about this battle. Everyone did an amazing job, except Jolteon. With 5th gym badge in hand, we can now make our way towards Foroma City. After collecting all their fruits, we battle Gym Leader Fissy. This is considered one of the easiest gyms in the game. We just need a strong fire or flying type. Our 6th gym badge acquired, 2 more to go. As we're going through Route 14, we once again encounter Team Eclipse, where we get some shocking news. We find out that Jake has betrayed us and joined Team Eclipse. He then challenges us to a battle. At this point, he's gotta stop. After defeating Jake, I realized that our team is severely underleveled. So I did some grinding till our team looked like this. When we enter Route 15, we get this cool cutscene of Latios flying around before we move on to Frostville City. In Frostville City, we go and heal up real quick before going into the gym and taking on Gym Leader Z. This gym was okay. I had a good matchup with all the Pokemon he had. We really clutched it up with Golem exploding on Umbreon though. Now we have the 7th gym badge, and one left before we head on to the Elite Four. Leaving the gym, we meet up with Tess to fight her. She's a much better trainer than Jake, but we beat her anyway. We can now go to Route 16 and make our way to Port Deca. After realizing that we don't have a Pokemon that can learn Surf, I temporarily catch a Zigzagoon, backtrack to Gregono's Mines, and surf till I reach Lapras. We trained it up and proceeded on to Crescent Island, where we can get our 8th gym badge. Upon arriving, we see a Team Eclipse grunt running into a building. We pull on some juice cakes before realizing that this was their secret underground base. We beat up multiple Team Eclipse grunts before unlocking all the doors, which moves us to the jail cell. We proceeded to follow the admins till we reach our parents and Tess. It isn't long before Professor Cypress loads them back into the aircraft, and they make our way to the Demon's Tomb to summon Hoopa. Jake stays behind so that he can fight us, but we easily beat him and head towards the Demon's Tomb, where we find Professor Cypress waiting. He goes on to summon Hoopa using our brick. We have one last fight with him, which we sweep, yet he continues with his plan. Some crazy things happen, and we have the chance of catching Hoopa, but we have to commit to the challenge. After all that, our parents take us back home, but they don't understand that we're on the grind, so we fly back to Crescent Town and take on Captain Lee. This battle was alright. To be honest, I was even worried. Obtaining our final gym badge, we can now challenge the Elite Four. If you've not played this version of Pokemon Red Bronze, this Elite Four is quite the challenge. First up is Balara. She specializes in poison types. This was the hardest Elite Four for this challenge, but Toxapex always set up toxic spikes if you don't knock it out, which I did. But we managed to get by using Golem and Jolteon. Next up is Dwayne. I believe you guessed that he specializes in rock types. You're correct. Dwayne kept switching out his Pokemon, and I had to heavily rely on Lapras in the first half of the battle till Gilmoran knocked it out. I didn't really want to risk the turn reviving Lapras, so I just went with what I had. I ended up reviving Lapras at the end and managed to pull off a win. This battle was hard, but it was slightly easier than Balara. Now it's time for Teddy. He specializes in bug type Pokemon. This is probably the easiest Elite Four for this challenge. Charizard was absolutely sweeping with Flamethrower and Air Slash. With the occasional Rock Slash from Golem, we won once again. The final Elite Four was Lena. She specialized in Fairy types. Unfortunately, we didn't have anything that hit it for weakness, but I had a plan. I lead off with Jolteon because Grimmsnarl has the ability Prankster, which allows priority for status inflicting moves like Thunder Wave. Since it won't have that priority, I decided to paralyze it instead before it knocks me out with Spirit Blade. I then decided to set up Stealth Rock with Golem for some extra chip damage and knock it out with Earthquake afterwards. And that Stealth Rock helped because I proceeded to wipe every one of her Pokemon with ease. Now for the final hurdle, Champion Brad. And I kid you not, this was the easiest champion fight I've ever done. Just watch. Come on, that didn't kill. Alright. Bro, this was so easy. This was easier than my first playthrough. Bro, we only lost one Pokemon. And with that, this officially marks the end of this challenge. Pokemon Red Bronze is honestly way too diverse of a game to be beaten comfortably while sticking to just one generation. You're insanely limited, whether it's move pools, typings, or just not having the bulky Pokemon you need for certain fights. But honestly, I had a lot of fun doing this. It was challenging, it made me think, and it really showed just how strong Gen 1 can be when used properly. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, because I'm planning to make more Pokemon Red Bronze challenges in the future. And who knows, I might even try something like this again. If you have any ideas for challenges, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. And with that, take care.